Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one.
Hey everyone, it's Blue Lizard Jello, and welcome back to Everything Possible in Dark Souls 3. Last time we completed the Cathedral of the Deep, we took out the deacons, and we met Rosaria, the Mother of Rebirth, and today we're going to be heading into the Great Swamp known as Farron Keep. But first, let's talk to Hawkwood because he might have some inside information as to one of the puzzles we have to solve while we're in the swamp.
Gaining admission to the Legion is a matter of some ceremony. Inside their keep, snuffing out the flames of 3 altars opens the door to the wolf blood. Even accursed undead want to believe they're special, it seems. I pity the sorry souls.
It seems that Hawkwood has a lot of information regarding the Undead Legion, and previously we saw him actually kneeling at the grave just outside of Firelink Shrine. Maybe he has a little bit more to him than first meets the eye. We're going to learn a lot more about Hawkwood as the playthrough continues. But before we head over to Farron Keep, now that we've completed the Cathedral, let's actually head up to the Firelink Tower. Even though we've already gotten the loot up there, let's head through this gate and up the elevator and see if maybe we can get a certain event to trigger. Door is still open because we already purchased the key and went through here once. But let's just step on the elevator and listen carefully. Sure sounds like that door just closed. Well, maybe it's a fluke. Let's head down and see exactly why that door might have shut on us. And to no one's surprise, it's Unbreakable Patches.
Sorry, friend. Be more careful. By the gods, curiosity is gonna kill you kittens. Some places are better left alone, you know. Oh, sorry. Am I a tad too late? Have no fear. There's beauty in death. Besides, you're amongst your own. Plenty of company, right?
When he says that we're amongst our own, he's referring to the bodies of all the dead firekeepers, and since all the firekeepers are women and I'm a woman, he apparently feels that I'm in good company. If you're a man, he will actually tell you that you're lucky to be around so many women. But unfortunately for him, we have an easy way out. But now let's track down this rat and give him a piece of our mind. Shouldn't have to go outside, he should be situated right here.
Ah, okay. You're alive. Now, hold your horses. Let's have a nice talk about this. I'll come clean. I did you wrong. I didn't mean it, though. Not one bit. You get these urges, running the business and all, and I hate myself for it. I do. You know what I mean. Terrible, really. But I can see you'll forgive me. You're alive, after all. And that's what counts, right?
You know, Patches, given our track record, no, I don't think I will forgive you. Not this time.
Oh, for heaven's sake, no need to jest with a face like that. You're still alive, and I'm here grovelling in the dirt, so to speak. Oh, I know. Here, a token of my sincerity. Right and proper, huh?
And if you choose not to forgive him, he will give you a rusted gold coin.
We're just a couple of outcasts. Let's make the best of it. Ah, I see you met Greirat. The slinking rodent. But he did me a good turn back in Lothric Dungeon. Doubtless I should do something about that little dead. Well, maybe not. Well, I can hardly believe he's still standing.
You want to use the talk option while Greirat is still present in Firelink Shrine because it actually opens up a unique item. And even though we've taken a look at his inventory before, let's just go through it again because he does sell some items that no one else does, or he sells items that are in unlimited quantities, like these alluring skulls. So we are going to pick some of those up. And if you're looking to farm, he does sell an unlimited supply of rusted coins. He also sells a pair of shotels. I believe we mentioned this previously, but these are the weapons of the Embraced Knight Lautrec from Dark Souls 1. And we will actually be able to pick up Lautrec's armor later on. Just a quick note here, you do not need to buy the Pierce Shield in order to give it to Siegward, just his armor. And he is the only vendor that sells poison arrows. And lastly, the Horse Hoof Ring, which will boost your kick effect. Your kicks will now do more stamina damage if you're wielding this ring. The only way to unlock this ring in Patch's inventory is to talk to him and get the dialogue regarding Greirat. Obviously, this is a bit of an inside joke because Patches has a history of kicking the player into unwanted territory.
Thanks, sweetie.
Now that our business with Patches has concluded, let's go talk to his good friend Greirat so we can pick up a few items that will help us along the way in Farron Keep. One of those items is actually going to be the Priest Chime. And I know I already traded the Cleric's Sacred Chime previously to the birds, but we do want a Sacred Chime for this next area because it's going to help combat the poison.
Oh, hello, you're back. And in one piece.
So first, let's sell the souls that we have. And now we'll actually buy a full complement of fire bombs. We're actually going to grab some large arrows so we can pull some enemies at range. And then we'll grab the Priest Chime for 4,000 souls so we can use the Gentle Prayer skill.
Goodbye. And stay safe.
We do have the Belvine Chime that we could use, however we would need to raise our faith to do so.
Ah, well met, Ashen One.
From the Shrine Handmaid, we're going to pick up 6 purple moss clumps, which will bring us up to a total of 7. We are also going to buy some charcoal pine bundles. 6 of those ought to do the trick, bringing us up to a total of 10. And then we're going to buy a single undead hunter charm so we can use it against an invading NPC and prevent them from healing.
Ashen One, be sure to bring more.
We do have some souls left, so let's go ahead and put them into leveling.
Very well. Then taken.
And I think it's about time we get our vigor just a little higher. Go from 15 to 17 and raise our HP all the way up to 638.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the flames guide thee.
And now it's about time to head over to Farron Keep, but as usual, let's take a look at our gear as well as our stats. We are still using the Raw Astora's Sword +4. I promise you we are going to be using some different weapons, but we need to get to a point where upgrade materials become easier to get. I'm also using the Thrall Axe for the Quick Step skill, the Longbow for pulling enemies at range, the Spider Shield for its ability to block poison attacks, the Sorcerer's Staff so we can still cast Spook. Now in this empty slot, let's go ahead and get that Priest Chime that we just purchased, so we can use the Gentle Prayer as we explore the swamp. For armor, we're using the Conjurator Hood, Worker Garb, Worker Gloves, and the Assassin Trousers. For rings, we have the Life Ring, the Estus Ring, the Chloranthy Ring, and the Poison Bite Ring. And the reason that we're using the armor and this ring combination is because of the incredible poison resistance we get from it, 365. While this won't actually reduce the damage we take from being poisoned, it will actually increase our poison buildup bar, which means that we can actually stay in the swamp longer without being poisoned. Let's go ahead and set up our bar here. Unfortunately, I do miss the poison moss. We'll have to equip that later. And here are my stats, currently level 37, and I do want to make mention this is now on regulation 1.07. 1.07 didn't introduce too many huge changes. It did introduce some new balancing with some of the weapons and their damage and their stamina usage, as well as some of the FP consumption with many of your magic spells. One last thing before we head to Farron Keep, we're going to swap out our magic weapon for the Caressing Tears, a miracle that will cure our poison. Even though we're not going to be using it too often, I do want to show its availability. But now, let's head to the swamp. Here we are in Farron Keep. You can hear how disgusting this area is. And just stepping foot into this water, you can see the poison beginning to build up. But you can see also how huge that poison bar is, which is going to prove useful as far as keeping our HP as high as possible. Extinguish 3 flames and open the door to Wolf's Blood. So just in case you actually missed that dialogue with Hawkwood, you can get a developer message that tells you exactly what you need to do in this area. Heading over here to the left, we do have a few slugs here to deal with. No big deal, especially if you can hit a few of them with fire bombs. And we get the Ragged Mask. Not an incredible piece of armor, but it does actually have some decent poison and curse resistance, both of which can prove useful in Farron Keep. Now I want to make mention before we pick up this trio of purple moss clumps, we are going to be handling this area in 2 parts, as you could probably guess based on the title. But I'm going to be doing this in a very particular way, which means that it may appear that I'm actually missing some items as we go through it. Rest assured, I have a very specific route planned out in 2 parts, and I should be getting every item. Of course, if I do miss something, feel free to let me know. Using the quick step ability of the Thrall Axe, I can pick up the Iron Flesh Pyromancy. Ironically enough, part of the description of the Iron Flesh Pyromancy states, not advisable for walking in marshlands. And I guess that's exactly why this individual died wielding the Iron Flesh. But when you cast this, your physical absorption gets increased by 40%, your resistances get increased by 50%, except it actually lowers your lightning resistance, which makes sense because this essentially is turning your flesh into iron, which is a metal which conducts electricity. It also does slow down your movement and your roll speed as if your equipment load is over 100%, so keep that in mind. Now that enemy straight ahead is known as an Elder Gru. Now let's take a look at him before we actually pull him with an arrow. Very dragon-like. Wielding a very large tree as well, but let's pull him so he starts coming over. And you can see I have my Alluring Skulls equipped because they are very susceptible to the Alluring Skulls, and if you try to face them head on, you have to be wary of all of their attacks, which include a smashing attack, an explosion AoE attack, as well as these homing skulls that you can see flying around. Fortunately, the Alluring Skulls work so well, all you need to do is typically throw one, get behind them, and you can finish them off very quickly. The alternative is to actually lure them into these fires that you see spread around the swamp. If you can get them to walk into there, they'll die in just a few hits. Quick stepping my way through the swamp some more. We'll wait until this group gets his eyes set on us, and then start throwing some Alluring Skulls. We do have plenty for this area, so feel free to use them liberally. I was trying to get him to walk into the fire, but no such luck this time. But just a couple more hits and he is no more. Now they can drop a few items for us. There are some specific items that can be dropped by particular Elder Gru, but they can also drop the Stone Great Shield, Poison Gems, Embers, or even Heavy Gems. But now let's quick step through the swamp some more. Grab a pair of Titanite Shards. And then over here next to this building, hiding in the corner, we get the Nameless Knight armor set. If this looks at all familiar, that is because this is the armor that actually starts with the Knight class in Dark Souls 1. And here we are being invaded by Dark Spirit Yellowfinger Hazel. Of course, this will only happen if you are embered, so just keep that in mind. If you don't get that notification, see if you've actually used an ember. Also, take a look at my health right now. Even though I am poisoned, because I use the Gentle Prayer skill, I am actually gaining HP over time. Very useful. Now Caressing Tears just to get rid of the poison altogether, and just like that, I'm back up to full health. Before we touch that fire, run over here, because you don't want to miss out on your rusted gold coin. And now, just like Hawkwood and the developer message said, it's time to extinguish this flame. You can see that the flame atop this giant pillar will now be extinguished. And in doing so, one of the flames outside these giant stone doors will now be lit. And once we do the same to 2 other flames, we will then have access to that area. area will give way to the Farron Keep mausoleum where the boss awaits. Not forgetting that Yellowfinger Hazel has invaded. Let's grab these homeward bones. And then we can hear someone casting some spells, but remember, Yellowfinger Hazel wears the obscuring ring, so you can't see her until she's very close. And we're going to hit her with the Undead Hunter Charm just as soon as we can to prevent her from getting any healing. Just wait for your opportunity. Here's ours. And now we have a little while to finish her off before she can use an Estus Flask. So sometimes it's actually going to be worth it to trade hits. Fortunately, she didn't get that guard break critical. And unfortunately for her, she is no more. Now this time we don't get any drops, but in the Dark Timeline version of Leylani, we're actually going to meet Yellowfinger Hazel in a much more friendly term. Up here we have another Gru, this time not an Elder Gru. And with the Spook spell, we're going to be able to sneak up right upon this enemy, although it's interesting because he does seem to notice us, just not enough to turn around. That's a shame for him. If you have the chance to get the backstab with the R2 follow-up, go for it, because those enemies can be very devastating, and they have a grab attack that you might not be able to dodge because it comes very quickly. Back into the swamp, we do have one shiny over here next to the building, and that'll be a large soul of a nameless soldier. Those items up on the hill we're not going to be getting until the next episode because we have to go through those large stone doors in order to get them. Over here on this corpse, we have another large soul of a nameless soldier. And now we have some basilisks to deal with. And if you've ever dealt with these enemies before, you know that their physical damage is really not too dangerous. What you need to worry about is the cloud of curse that they actually spew. And you can see that building up very, very rapidly. If that bar fills up, just like we talked about with the Deep of Curse from the Cathedral of the Deep, you will die instantaneously. Definitely best to kill these enemies from range unless you are on some solid ground and have the ability to roll away quickly. Killing them just for the sake of killing them because there are no items that way. And now that we're on some solid ground, let's get rid of our poison and get ready to kill a couple more basilisks. Easily done with the raw Astora sword. Get some FP recovery. And now, just to top off, we'll go ahead and use the Gentle Prayer skill again. We can see in the top left there another Elder Gru in the distance, and over to the right we have a shiny, and that's the direction we're going to be headed in, but we do have to worry about some more basilisks. Luckily the water in this area is not too deep once you get past this tree right here, so it's easy enough to just get a couple of hits on each of them and avoid the cloud as best you can. And right next to those enemies, we have 4 repair powders, which you can go ahead and sell for some extra souls if you need them. And then inside this cave, a very interesting area. On this first corpse, we get the Golden Scroll. A golden scroll chronicling the vast research of the Xanthus scholars. In the lost land of Ulasil, the sorceries orchestrated light and were said to shine in golden hues. Handing this into Orbeck of Vinheim will unlock the Cast Light, Repair, Hidden Weapon, Hidden Body, and the Twisted Wall of Light sorceries. And we have 2 chests here, one of which has already been opened. This might have contained the golden scroll we just picked up. This one which has not been opened, and it can be a little bit difficult to tell if this is a mimic or not. So feel free to always give one test attack before you open a chest if you're not sure. And inside we get the antiquated dress, gloves, and skirt. While this armor doesn't say very much, the elaborately embroidered ivory-colored silk is imbued with ancient magic power. This is the armor set that belonged to Dusk of Ulasil, and we will be seeing her crown in just a little bit. Carrying on with the Ulasil tradition, we have a mushroom standing ahead of us, and if you look carefully, it looks like there are some eyes that are closed. And this is Elizabeth of Ulasil. Elizabeth of Ulasil was Ulasil's sanctuary's keeper as well as Dusk's caretaker. And here's a comparison image from Dark Souls 1 just so you can see who I'm talking about. But that's it for this cave, so let's go ahead and push forward. We'll try to get to this land before the poison sets in. And from here, we can again see that Elder Gru, and we should be able to pull him towards us, which will make fighting him a lot easier. So let's get just a little bit closer so we can hit him with our arrow. And now we just wait for him to come to us. Once again, using alluring skulls. And probably a second one because I had my bow out. Whoops. And there we go. These enemies without alluring skulls can be very difficult. They hit extremely hard, so just keep that in mind. Gentle prayer just to keep our health where it is, and we're actually going to do just a little bit of backtracking to collect some of these shinies in the center of the swamp before we go back to the outskirts. The only reason I'm not using the quick step skill is because if I put the chime away, as we've seen before, it will cancel the gentle prayer skill. We have another Titanite shard here. Just getting rid of this one slug because he's annoying me. Now we're gonna roll through here and just avoid all the other slugs because really they don't have anything worthwhile to pick up. We're gonna head over to this island. And up here on this corpse, we get the Sunlight Talisman. And let's go ahead and stop this poison before we actually take a look at this item. The Knight of Sunlight's personal talisman for casting miracles of the gods. The talisman bears the knight's own holy illustration, an emblem of his unwavering faith. Use of the talisman's skill fills the user with similar steadfastness. Now this talisman will get an ace scaling in faith if you upgrade it to +4 or above. It is the only talisman to actually get this ace scaling. It also has the Unfaltering Prayer, which will increase your poise whenever you're casting miracles. In other words, if you use Unfaltering Prayer and then try to cast a miracle, it is harder for an enemy to actually hit you out of the casting animation. You also have some Estus Soup in case you need to top off your health. Then over here on this corpse, we get a Wolf's Blood Swordgrass. This is a Covenant item that belongs to the Watchdogs of Farron Covenant, and you can use these items to rank up in this Covenant. A leaf signifying a duty fulfilled by the Watchdogs of Farron, who stand beside the Old Wolf to ensure the serenity of those at rest, depicts a swordgrass leaf stained with dried blood. Now you can get these by killing hosts whenever you're summoned as a Watchdog of Farron. The other way of getting these is by getting a very rare drop from the Gru in this area, and I'll show you the best place to farm it later on. But before we head up that ladder, let's explore and get some more loot. We can see a shiny straight ahead in this tower, surrounded by these slugs. There are so many and they're so grouped together that a firebomb can work wonders at hitting multiple. A few of these just to soften them up. And now we should easily be able to head in there and kill off the remainder. Definitely worth coming in here because we do get an Undead Bone Shard. Now we can increase the effectiveness of our Estus Flask yet again. And here we are at long last to these large stone double doors. Once we extinguish the other two flames and light these sconces, we'll be able to proceed. Now we can see here some other Grus. These ones are not actually equipped with a weapon, but they can be dangerous nonetheless because they will jump very rapidly at you. So for now, I tried to pull them both, but gladly I only got one at a time. Not sure what I was thinking trying to get both. I don't know why I would fight more than one enemy if I can help it. And now, this is actually a really good example of using arrows to pull an enemy because you can see it hit him, and even though it doesn't register any damage due to the range, he is still aggroed. Now that he's taken care of, We'll go ahead and get the Thrall Axe ready because we are going to be entering into some deeper water, and you can see already the giant crab headed our way. But you know what? We're not going to fight him. That's not to say he's not going to die. We're just not going to fight him. And you might know exactly why based on this white birch straight ahead. And even though I'm poisoned, I'm just going to take my time and wait patiently while he comes to us. Because our good friend Giant still has our back. Now, of course, if you have a strike weapon and you're willing to take the chance, you can kill this crab fairly easily on your own. I just really like having the Giant help / do all the work. And when the crab is dead, you will get the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring. Anytime you wear this ring, your spell buffs and effects will last 30% longer. And around the tree, you have 2 more young white branches, and then more importantly, you get the Crown of Dusk, a helm that when worn will boost your sorcery damage by 10%, but it will increase the magic damage you then take. We also get a Soul of a Nameless Soldier, an Ember, six gold pine bundles, which will give your weapon 120 lightning damage for about 7 seconds, and a large soul of an unknown traveler. With this area clear, we're actually going to head closer to the wall that we see straight ahead, and follow that until we get to the next land area where a very important item awaits. Using Quick Step to make it go faster until I get to the shallow water area. And now we have an area with 3 Grue, so it is highly advisable to kill one at a time. By the way, if you like the look of any of their weapons or their shield, the Grues can drop whatever weapon they're wielding or their rot shield. Next, let's pull this enemy right here. You can see that all the Grues have this dragon-like appearance. I wonder what the connection is between Farron Keep and the dragons. He was kind enough to drop us a Titanite shard. Just one more Grue to deal with before we collect the item and take a look at the surroundings. Easy enough. And now if you play Dark Souls 1, these poor mushroom creatures should look familiar. These are some of the mushroom creatures that we found in the forest that we later learned was actually Ulasil. And we get the Sage's Scroll, another scroll that we can give to Orbeck of Vinheim, and this scroll will unlock the Great Farron Dart and Farron Hail. As any sorcerer knows, sorcery is a talent, and these sorceries were refined to nurture a very special talent. And when we actually take a look at these spells later on when we hand this scroll in, we'll learn that the 2 sorceries they unlock are directly related to our friend Yellowfinger Hazel. And now we'll be doing just a bit of backtracking. Watch out for these Grue grunts. Not too difficult to deal with, especially if you have the Quick Step skill. Grab this Titanite shard and then head under the bridge, and now we're going back to the ladder and finally climbing that to see what awaits us at the top of this tower. Stopping the poison here, and I use the gentle skill, although you really don't have to. There's no need to top off your health right here because there's no way that you can actually take damage unless you fall off the ladder here. But we're heading up to the top, and there's going to be a bonfire waiting for us. Still no ladder music yet. I know. I'm sorry. Looking inside this room, we can see this item up on a ledge, and there's no way to get it from below. So we'll have to loop around and see if we can get it that way. But we can already hear the twinkling of the crystal lizard, so it's time to chase him down before he disappears. And this one will drop for us a twinkling titanite. And now, where could we head into this room in order to get that item? I wonder if there's an illusory wall in this well-hidden archway. Hey, look at that. And we get the Dream Chaser's Ashes, one of the most important items for us to pick up. Umbral Ash of one who dreamt of joining the Undead Legion. In the end, the Dream Chasers who wandered aimlessly in the rotted forest found a sense of fulfillment. This is actually going to unlock a number of items with the Shrine Handmaid, and most importantly, it will unlock unlimited Titanite shards for purchase at 800 souls apiece. You can also see that the hand is clutching some sort of medallion or a pendant. Some theories suggest that this is just a reference to the pendant from Dark Souls 1, but I believe that this is actually clutching a medallion of the Watchdogs of Farron, and we're going to be getting that medallion here in just a second. But we're going to be getting some unique dialogue from the Shrine Handmaid, and these ashes will actually have another effect, but we'll see that towards the end of the episode. Praying to the Old Wolf will get the Legion etiquette gesture, and now we can join the Covenant in order to obtain the Watchdog of Farron Covenant item. When you wear this Covenant item, if you're playing online, you can be summoned into the world of any player who's trespassing in the Farron Keep. If you manage to kill that host, then you will get a Wolf's Blood Swordgrass. If you turn in 10 of these to the Wolf, you will achieve rank 1 in the Watchdog of Farron Covenant, and you'll get the Old Wolf Curved Sword, which restores HP on a successful hit, and it has a unique Wolf Leap skill. If you turn in 30, you'll get the Wolf's Knight Great Shield, which increases all resistances by 50, as well as the Wolf Ring, which increases poise by 12.5. Now, many of us already know that poise does not work exactly as we thought poise would or should, depending on your interpretation, so it's up to you whether or not getting that Wolf Ring is going to be necessary. But if you're looking to get the achievement for all rings, unfortunately it's going to be. But this is actually the medallion that I believe the Dream Chaser's Ashes are actually holding. The Watchdogs ensure that the warriors sleep in serenity by taking the form of loyal spirits and hunting down those who would trespass the woods of Farron. With all of the references to Ulasil that we've seen in Farron Keep, it is quite possible and even likely, in my opinion, that as the lands are merging together due to the fading of the flame, that Farron Keep is in the same location as Ulasil. And as we know about Ulasil, that is also the location of the beginning of the spread of the Abyss, which means Knight Artorias would have been in this general vicinity when he actually went into the Abyss to try to stop Manus. And if you know anything about Artorias, then you know that Artorias really didn't go anywhere without his dear pet wolf, Sif. And I think that this old wolf is very much a reference to our dear friends Sif and Artorias. Now let's take this elevator up to the very top of this tower. And as soon as we step outside, you can see Lothric in the distance. And you may already know exactly where we are. We are finally on top of the bridge that we've seen from numerous locations. From here you can see the Cathedral of the Deep. You can just see the peaks of the Undead Settlement. And now, we see a somewhat familiar looking face. Although he looks just a little bit different than the last time we saw him. This is a stray demon. This stray demon looks weaker somehow. Looks like he's almost ready to fall apart. Soon as you start to close the gap, he is going to come in very ferociously. And you have to watch out for this boulder breath, because even if you try to block that, typically the very first boulder is going to break your guard. I'm actually going to use the Charcoal Pine Bundle, because it will give me some extra damage, even though he is somewhat resistant to fire. One of the attacks you really need to watch out for is his grab, and it can come very, very quickly. You'll see it here in just a moment. Dodging this boulder heave. Watch out for the slam attacks. And right here is the grab. I just narrowly avoided it. There is a neat Easter egg that you can get if you attack the stray demon's legs. You can actually crush the legs, and they will actually crumble, and he'll be forced to crawl along the ground. I didn't get that, unfortunately, this time, but we did get the soul of a stray demon. The stray demon, now lacking even a trace of flame, was once the gatekeeper of Lothric. It seems that the stray demons have always been some sort of guardian or gatekeeper. We can use this soul in order to get 20,000 souls. We can use it to transpose into the Havel's Ring or into the Boulder Heave Pyromancy. There are a few items over here, and also you're going to want to return to this area to pick up some armor later on. But we get an Ember, a Great Axe, and another Ember. But once we proceed to a late stage of this game, we can come back here and get an entire armor set. I've already given you clues to what the armor set is based on what you can get by trading in the soul of a stray demon, but I'm not going to ruin the surprise. We can't go through the portcullis, but we can't sneak around it. Using Spook just to prevent the little bit of fall damage that we would take. And now just sneaking alongside here, we can see a number of shinies and a few crystal lizards. What I like to do is herd this one over to the left, so go around wide to the right, get him to hit this wall. Killing him will give us a large Titanite shard. By herding him to the left, we don't scare this one, and now we can go and kill this one very easily for another large Titanite shard. And now we get our first good look at this dead dragon that we've seen a number of times. I guess technically a dead wyvern. Just look at that face. Very cool. And we can see all the dead pilgrims up there that failed to make it all the way to Lothric. And on this corpse, we get the Lightning Spear Miracle. Miracle allegedly used by Warriors of Sunlight. The spears inflict lightning damage, providing an effective counter to magic or fire, especially powerful against metal armor or dragons. And on this corpse, we get the Dragon Crest Shield. This shield has 100% physical damage absorption and the highest fire damage absorption of any shield at 89%. Very, very useful if you're going to be fighting against any enemy who primarily uses fire attacks. And that would actually include the second stage of a certain boss that we're about to fight. Although not in this episode, I apologize, it will be in the next. It also has a really great depiction of a dragon. We can see another crystal lizard just up here, and this one I would also like to go to the left. So we'll just kind of stick to the right until we get him over here. Pin him against the wall and get a heavy gem. A couple of weak hollows to deal with. And we can see this one poor pilgrim that made it all the way to this portcullis, just not far enough. That hollow dropped 3 firebombs for us and a few more hollows. And for this one, I'm actually going to switch back to the spider shield just because I want to show you the weapon skill. I really haven't used it too much, and it can be very useful for any enemy that hides behind a shield. Missed it that time because he had just lowered his shield. Missed it that time because I was too far away, but there's the guard break. So if you're using a straight sword that has that weapon skill, any enemy that hides behind a shield can be dealt with very easily. And if you charge up here, especially if you get the crystal lizard to go up these stairs and you actually get that hollow to scream and you haven't killed all the other hollows, you're going to be bum rushed. So believe me when I say it is best to deal with those hollows one at a time if at all possible. And I just love this viewpoint. There's the Undead Settlement. There's the tower with the giant archer perched on top. There's the Cathedral of the Deep. I just love how many different areas you can see from each zone. But now, let's actually head back to Firelink Shrine. And the first thing that we're going to do is talk to the Shrine Handmaid and give her the Dream Chaser's ashes.
Ah, well met, Ashen One. Ashen One, what woeful umbral ash is this? This barren dust stuff of a fool won't yield aught. Where didst thou happen upon the stuff? Tell me for the sport.
Now, it doesn't matter whether or not you tell her, she will still open up her inventory, she just has somewhat different dialogue, so I think we'll tell her where we found the ash.
Oh, yes, I see. Clinging to lofty dreams in this dying world, more's the pity. It must come from one most foolish indeed. Wouldst thou not agree?
She makes it sound a little bit personal, doesn't she? Now let's take a look at what her inventory now has to offer. We have a hidden blessing for sale. We have green blossoms, black bug pellets, gold pine resins, limited quantities, gold pine bundles, also limited quantities, rotten pine resin, unlimited. We have unlimited titanite shards, which is definitely the best thing she now has to offer. She has the composite bow, which is a fairly decent bow. She also sells the feather arrows, which will fly further than standard arrows and do the full amount of damage, and she sells the life ring, so if you didn't start with a life ring, you can now buy it.
Ashen One.
And now we did pick up a couple of items we need to give to Orbeck, so let's go talk to him, and we're also going to buy a few spells so we can get an item from him.
Back again, I see. I suppose this means you're after sorceries. Oh my. This is stupendous. And the Undead Legion of Farron possesses sorceries quite unknown. Thank you for upholding your end of the bargain. I doubt I ever would have made this discovery alone. Now, let us unravel the thing, so you may put these new sorceries to use.
So now we have the Great Farron Dart and the Farron Hail sorcery available. And if we take a look at the description, entrusted to the leader of the Legion's acolytes and apparently a sorcery of his daughter Hazel that was refined by a crystal sage. So Yellowfinger Hazel is actually the daughter of the leader of the Legion's acolytes. I don't actually know who the leader of the Legion's acolytes is, so if you have any idea, please let me know. There's apparently a lot more to Hazel than just being invaded.
It is folly to claim lives recklessly, friend. Do not be tempted. No matter the victim's stature, every killing has a consequence. Even as I bloodied my hands, I never realized this simple truth. There I was, the very definition of a fool. Oh my. Well, this is very unusual. It's from Ulasil, an ancient land of golden sorceries. Not even the Dragon School possesses such a long-lost scroll. What would the Xanthus scholars say with their ridiculous headwear? They would simply slaver over this find.
And now that we gave him the golden scroll, we can get Cast Light, Repair, Hidden Weapon, Hidden Body, and the Twisted Wall of Light, which is a spell that can actually deflect other incoming magic. But since we've bought more than 3 sorceries and we've given him a scroll...
Oh, I have something for you. You're a fine sorcerer now, no mistake. You should have something to prove it. Go on. If I'm giving something away, you'd better well take it.
Then Orbeck will now give us the Young Dragon Ring. Wearing this ring will boost sorcery damage by 12%. Apropos to the Dragon School, the seal depicts an everlasting dragon. A young dragon presages the great length of the journey to mastery. Now, if you started the game as a sorcerer, you already have the Young Dragon Ring, and he will not give you a second.
Come again.
Now that we've talked to the Shrine Handmaid and to Orbeck, we have another NPC we want to go meet with, and that's our good friend the Giant Archer, because he's just been so useful to us. I'd love to go say thank you. So let's head to the Road to Sacrifices and climb the tower, and go say hello. Unfortunately, the Outrider Knight does not respawn. I'd rather not deal with him if I can avoid it. And just in case you forget where the archer is, we're going to have to go up this elevator and then send the elevator back down and then get on top of it. Remember that very confusing puzzle that Siegward was stuck on? Kinda miss our onion bro. Hope we see him soon. Oh, giant friend! We just wanted to come and say thanks for all of your hard work. Giant friend? Once you've collected all 7 of the young white branches around the white birches, you can come here, and unfortunately the giant is no more. He has dropped for us, however, his Hawk Ring. Ring associated with Hawkeye Goth, one of the 4 Knights of Gwyn, the First Lord. In his later years, the giant Goth was blinded, but this did not prevent him from striking down a calamitous dragon, also known as Calamite, with his great bow. Wearing this ring will extend the range of your arrows so you can be further away while still doing the full amount of damage. Clearly the giant was wielding this ring so he could help us out anytime we got near the white birches. Unfortunately, in the Dark Souls universe, once you have actually fulfilled your purpose, typically that is when you perish. Never lose your purpose, unkindled ones. But now let's go around and see what killed him. He didn't just seem to die of his own accord. In fact, it looks like he was shot with great arrows. These arrows weren't here before, and we can see some of them are even piercing his own leg. The same exact arrows that he was firing, but now they're coming in at him. When you take a look at the angle, there is a building way off in the distance that maybe it came from, but unfortunately we never see the archer that killed him. If you have any speculation, let me know. And now back at Firelink Shrine, we have one more familiar face to talk to.
Hello again. I have since heard a great deal about you. For one, that you are most gentle of heart. I too am bound by duty, but can offer you my sign. I hear that cordial intrusion lays the path to embers. If I can be of help, by all means, do call upon me. Blessing of the moon upon your journey.
Once you've given the Dream Chaser's ashes to the Shrine Handmaid, leave the area and come back, you can talk to Cirrus and she'll give you the Dark Moon loyalty gesture as well as a promise to help you if you need it. And we will be actually seeing her summon sign in just a bit. But ladies and gentlemen, that is actually going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 3. I hope you learned something, and if you did, leave me a comment below, let me know what you learned, and if I missed something, please feel free to let me know that as well so we can all keep learning. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.